everyone, we're getting ready to get started. My name is Kristine Hoover. I'm a faculty member here at Gonzaga University in the Masters of Arts of Organizational Leadership. And it's my pleasure to spend a little bit of time with you and share our program goals and outcomes and what we're all about to help you figure out whether this is the right fit for you or not. We really want to make sure that you have the information that you need so that you can make the best decision possible. So with me today, my picture is on the left-hand side. We also have Brittany and Sarah who are available to help us work through some of the technical questions. They're admissions counselors. And as you think about the application process, they'll be there to support you. And hopefully we'll find that, as we always have in the past, they're available on just an immediate response notice and just provide tremendous service to help you make this decision and moving forward with your graduate education. So our contact information is there. We really encourage you to contact us by email or by phone or through the website. Any mechanism that works for you is great for us, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. I hope, too, that you might consider thinking about using the chat box feature while we're talking today. I am glad to share information with you, but what's most important is that we address whatever your questions may be. So if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to type them in the chat box and we'll try and make sure that you get the information you're looking for. So we thought that we'd start our seminar off today with what are the skills that our program provides. So when you complete this degree, the Masters of Arts in Organizational Leadership, what are the things that you will be able to bring to the workforce to add value? And what we try and focus on is systems thinking, that the world is a much more complex place now, and that we have to face the organizational challenges thinking both at the individual level, the group level, the organizational level, and the societal level. And so how do those different components, how do different departments and organizations, how do different levels of leadership come together in an integrated vision? So we're really maximizing the value of our human resources and our organizational capacity, or our human capital. So we look at those different levels, including group dynamics and team building. We actually have elective classes that focus exclusively on that content. And we learn strategies for conflict resolution and negotiation. Again, such an important topic that we have an elective class that focuses on conflict resolution and negotiation. And we try and leverage communication across organizations, really looking at the partnership we have with our sister program, the Masters of Arts in Communication and Leadership, where you can even choose more electives that will support your communication, doing a communication audit to see who's getting what information within your organization and how the communication flows are working or where they could be improved. Obviously, in organizations, if you're creating a vision for the future, it involves leadership for change, design, and encouraging creative solutions. We'll talk more about an immersion class, what we call a hybrid class, where you'll come to campus and spend some time thinking about creativity. And that's incredibly important, thinking about the solutions that we need in today's global environment and with our diverse teams that we're working on. So if we think about some of the questions that we frequently get, what does a degree in organizational mean for your career? We have a lot of people, the majority of folks in our program have experience. They come to us with technical skills and expertise, but as they think about how they want to have the greatest impact, working with human beings, working with your colleagues, understanding those connections, really is the focus for our program, which leads us to kind of distinguish ourselves from a program that might be an MBA program, for example. Our program is really not focused on leading things that an MBA might be more focused on. So we're not looking at the accounting, we're not focused on marketing, we're not focused on any of the particular numbers that you might look at in an MBA program, but rather how human beings impact the effectiveness of organizations. So our degree, or our students who complete the degree, come from a very broad range of industries, and they come from a broad level, various levels within the organization. So we have folks who come to us and find value in our program when they go back to work in educational jobs, when they go back to work in human resource jobs, when they look for opportunities in finance, when they look for any technical position. We've had medical doctors in our program, veterinarians, people in the military, and I think my experience has been that this creates a much richer conversation in the classroom, whether that's in person, face-to-face, or online, because everybody's bringing those different perspectives. And another incredible benefit of that is the alumni network that gets established. You will see people from all over the world, certainly all over the country, with a Gonzaga degree, and particularly a degree from the organizational leadership program that gives you opportunities not only to learn from and network with folks, but also to build that network as you think about your own career and resources that you need. So a couple things that we're really proud of in terms of looking at outside resources that tell us whether our program is effective or not. We have information from the U.S. Census Bureau, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the Occupational Handbook that indicate that outcomes, becoming a part of a distinctive group, only 8% of Americans have an advanced degree. So our program provides that advanced degree, a Master's of Arts in Organizational Leadership. There is a huge pay difference in general for people who have master's degrees versus bachelor's degree, and you may be familiar with the statistic, but the information that we have found is $12,000 more per year in income once you have that master's degree. And there is an increase for jobs that are requiring master's degrees. And so the benefit of finding the right fit for you in your graduate program can be highly significant. So if we're talking specifically about our program is 10 classes. Each of those classes are 3 credits, so it's a 30-credit program. In those 10 classes, there are 5 that are required, 5 that everyone completes, and then there's also the opportunity to be selective in which electives you take, so that you get an individualized program that meets your needs. Our program is structured so that you take 2 classes per semester. However, since the majority of our students have very full and busy lives with their commitments in other places, the way that we've structured our classes is you will take 1 class for 8 weeks, and then you'll take a second class for 8 weeks during that 16-week semester. So you're still covering 2 classes, but because you're taking them one at a time, you have 1 syllabus, 1 faculty member to work with, 1 set of course concepts that you're focusing on and applying. And so we find that that makes it a much easier process, although certainly there is the trade-off that we're going twice as fast in an 8-week program to cover 16 weeks worth of material. Another component of our program is that we try to offer our courses in a format that meets your needs. So most, if not all, of our classes are offered in an online format. Many of them are offered in a hybrid format, which means that there's a face-to-face component and an online component to it. And there are some classes that are completely on-campus classes as well. So whatever meets your needs, we try and provide the class for you in a format that will get you to your goal of completing your degree. And in general, our students complete the degree in 2 years, but we also have flexibility. It's not a cohort program. So if something comes up and you need to readjust your schedule in some way, we certainly want to work with you, but know that getting to that degree completion is highly significant and very important. So most students will do that within the 2-year period. So I've used the word on-campus immersion or hybrid class a couple times. One of the hallmarks of our program is a class called Imagine, Create, Lead. This is a required class that everybody in the program takes. We ask you to come to campus for 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we offer this class 11 times a year so that you can find the time that best fits with your schedule. Now, what's incredibly important about this is that we offer the class and encourage you to come as early as possible once you decide that this is the program for you. It's important because you'll establish networks with your colleagues, you'll establish relationships with your faculty, you'll get to know the resources that are available here on campus, and you really engage in experiential learning. It's a very active time while you're here on campus that we hope provides opportunities that you don't get in the online environment. And oftentimes we find that once people have come to the on-campus immersion, they're looking to find what other immersion classes or hybrid classes will fit. It becomes something that they really may not have appreciated a great deal because of all the work it takes to get here and the time you have to take off from work, but that it's very worthwhile once they come. But again, this is our requirement and the only class that we require that you come to campus for. So we talked a little bit about the 10 classes in the degree, that there are 5 required and 5 electives. And these electives give you the opportunity to choose what meets your needs the best. Those electives can also include study abroad options, and we'll talk about those in more detail, but they include options in Italy and Colombia and many other possibilities. So hopefully you'll be interested in considering some of those, not just coming to campus for face-to-face experiences, but also studying abroad. There is a study abroad requirement for the Global Leadership Program. Our Global Leadership and our Servant Leadership are concentrations that are an academic credential that will show up on your transcript. We're one of the few, if not the only universities to offer an academic credential in servant leadership, and very proud of that area of expertise that we provide. A concentration is purely optional. It guides which electives you might choose that focus your areas of study. And if what you value is servant leadership or global leadership, if that's what you're most interested in, we can talk about the concentration details. And if flexibility or breadth is what you're most interested in, the option of just selecting whatever electives fit your career goals is certainly a very common choice as well. So I started to mention the study abroad options. We take students to Florence, Italy, and there are 6 credits that can be taken if you're in Florence, Italy. This is a wonderful experience. It's often once a year, generally at the end of May. And it's spent with a recognition that you are there to experience the culture, to apply academic concepts, and to really make the most of what it means to study abroad. So you'll have the opportunity to eat in the Italian restaurants. And our faculty member, Mike Carey, is generally the leader of our Leadership for the 21st Century class. And if you happen to choose to take this class, you'll have an opportunity, I'm sure, to eat some of the Italian ice cream that's so fabulous, and he will eat ice cream with you any night that you'd like. And of course, the coffee is absolutely fabulous if that's your preference as well. But it's a fantastic opportunity for about 10 days. And we provide the housing accommodations for you so that you're staying with students to make that a positive experience. We also have a program in Cali, Colombia, which is leadership and accompaniment, working with some of the local community organizations there, and a real focus on communications and leadership in that capacity. The Brussels, Belgium experience is approximately a week long, and it looks at a global UN experience, looking at strategies for contemporary issues. This past year, this class was offered in the spring, and they focused on immigration issues, certainly a current and relevant issue that we're looking for greater leadership and more creative ways to address. There's a brand new class that we'll begin to offer in the Czech Republic, Understanding Europe in an Age of Uncertainty. And again, the relevancy of this class is something that we think is really appealing given the current political actions that have been taken in the current context that we're living in. So all of these study abroad classes are optional, and if you choose the global concentration, you will be required to do one of these study abroad experiences. If you'd like to stay in the United States and still enjoy more time face-to-face with classmates, the domestic immersion electives tend to be 3 to 5 days long, and there are different places in the United States, whether it's here on the Gonzaga campus, in Palermo, California, or in Mount Adams, Washington, but you'll spend time in an 8-week online experience preparing for having the face-to-face experience and then following up for each of these classes. Now, with the Visiting Scholars Program, we have a number of different experts that we bring in and rotate who are available to provide input on whatever the current events may be. So that program changes, or the people that are the content of that program changes depending on who's coming. We also offer an organizational change and transformation immersion that's typically offered during the fall and involves thinking about the various change models that are available in that discipline and how to think about applying them in an organizational context that's relevant for you. We have the team building and leadership classes. Those are generally offered throughout the year. It's both team building and advanced team building here on the Gonzaga campus. At the beginning of summer, we frequently offer the leadership and storytelling class, and multiple times throughout the year, we offer the foresight and strategy class. The foresight and strategy class is part of the servant leadership concentration, and so if you choose the servant leadership concentration, that will be one of the experiences to complete that academic credential. One of the classes I think is incredibly unique to our program among many is a class that we offer in Palermo, California, Leadership, Community, Empowerment, Collaboration, and Dialogue. This is spending a week in the Mojave Desert at a Benedictine monastery. The experience of living in an organization, living with the people at the monastery, can be incredibly transformational in thinking about how this organization has survived, has thrived over centuries of time, and what are the lessons learned that can be extrapolated and used in your organizational context. It's an incredible experience if it's the right fit for you. The Palermo class is generally offered several times during the year. And then last on our list, we have our Mount Adams class. It's the Leadership and Hardiness class, and it's in Mount Adams for a reason. The experiential component of that class involves climbing a mountain. So there is work that happens before the class in preparation, in academic content in terms of the concept of hardiness, and in the application of your classmates meeting at Mount Adams for this mountain climbing experience. All of these classes have tremendous resonance, and oftentimes I'm happy to say that our students struggle with figuring out which ones will fit into their schedules and fit with their other commitments, but try to fit as many immersion classes as possible into their experience while they're here in the program. One of the things we want to make sure that we share with you is that our program is a part of the Jesuit educational process. Jesuit education, and Gonzaga in particular, have been around for 125 years. And part of our commitment is to something we call cura personalis. Cura personalis is really care for the whole person. So I mentioned that most people complete the program in 2 years, but in caring for the whole person and wanting you to be available, wanting you to be able to focus on your coursework, if something comes up in life, if something unexpected pops up at work, if there's an opportunity that you weren't expecting and you need to take some time off from your studies, or if we can work with you in some way to adjust your program of studies so that it fits for your needs in selecting your electives or when you take certain requirements or core classes, we want to do what it is that will make this program more meaningful and more impactful for you, because it is academically rigorous. Our classes are taught by people who are academically qualified. They have terminal degrees, so doctoral degrees in the areas in which they're teaching. And this is part of our student-centered experience in teaching, that the faculty are available to you, whether it's online, through GoToMeeting, through Skype, through phone, but that they're accessible to you, and that we want you to know that commitment when you come to the Imagine, Create, Lead immersion class that I mentioned is the required immersion class here on the Gonzaga campus, and that we hope will fit in your program of study as early as possible. Our class sizes are small. We certainly have no classes that are at 50 or 100 people that you might have heard about in other places. Our small class sizes are committed to staying at approximately 20 people or fewer, so that there is interaction and you develop an understanding and learning from your colleagues. And as you think about our program, not only in this startup process, when you're thinking about the application, our student services team is here to support you all the way through to graduation. So if you have a question about when classes start, if you have a question about when classes are offered, if you want to change one of the electives you're taking, say from the hardiness class to maybe the Valermo class, the community building class, we want to be there to make those adjustments. One of the tools that we have is called our progression plan. And as you start the program, you'll identify your best estimate of how you want to take classes, when you want to take classes, which electives you want to take. And that progression plan will keep you enrolled so that you don't need to think about what class am I enrolling for? Have I met my requirements? When is the deadline to register? Your progression plan will take care of all of that for you. And I like to say that that progression plan is not a ball and chain. It's not anything written in stone. It's a support mechanism to help you reach your goal of graduation in the way that you want it to happen. And again, it's entirely flexible, and you'll find that our student support services are very accessible in adapting and changing that whenever you contact them. So we have this long tradition, again, as I mentioned, 125 years on campus for Gonzaga, and our online program that has been around since 1980. And we figured out that as we integrate this with the Jesuit education process of cura personalis, that it creates accessibility for graduate education that can be a good fit for you. The value of the Gonzaga degree is this prestigious 130 years of tradition. We do more than play basketball, but certainly you might have first heard about the university through our basketball team and the exciting season that we've had for a number of years now. But we also have a tremendous reputation with employers. So we work a lot with Boeing, we work a lot with Starbucks, but we also work with many small organizations, many educational systems. We work with a number of the military units. And so you'll see that our degree is recognized and valued because of that tradition of excellence that we have. So we provide a great deal of support both for faculty and for students in terms of the technology of online education, and try and make it possible for that alumni network to be a resource for you. So as you complete the degree, you'll go back into the workforce or whatever is the next chapter in your life, but you may find that the community, the collegiality that you found here at Gonzaga is something that you want to return to. And so we have an opportunity for alumni to return to the classes as teaching assistants or as graduate assistants, but ways for you to stay connected. An alumni weekend at Valermo is another possibility, so that you stay fulfilled and you stay, we don't lose track of you in providing you resources to continue your work in your leadership journey. So our tuition is also competitive and something that our student services team is glad to talk with you about in more detail. We also want to share some additional reports about the value of our specific Gonzaga degree, that we are #4 in the best regional universities in the West by U.S. News and World Report, and #4 best value among Western regional universities as well, as cited by U.S. News and World Report. So some of the questions that people frequently have are listed up here on the screen. And again, whatever questions you might have, please consider typing them in the text box, because we want to make sure that we address whatever is on your mind. But if we think about some of these questions that commonly come up, one of the questions is, do I need a background in business or leadership? And absolutely not. We think that leadership is something that is beneficial to all disciplines, to all industries. That leadership is the resource that helps your business or your industry become more effective, because it leverages your human capital. It leverages the people in your organization that make a difference. So a business background, a business undergraduate degree is certainly one of the wonderful ways that students enter into our programs, but many other backgrounds are also present. So if we think about the backgrounds of other students in the program, they're coming from typically a place with some work experience, and they're also coming from many different schools, the School of Education, the College of Arts and Sciences, and professional schools. So we even have partnerships with the medical school and with the law school in terms of some of the law and the medical students participating in our classes as well. The majority of our classes that you may take may be delivered online because of the flexibility that provides, because of the way that we can reach out with education to people all over the country and all over the world. So it does require a sense of discipline, commitment, and motivation, that you will have clear structures within your class and timeframes to work within. Your commitment, I think, is what you will find similar to the colleagues that commit to this program, the desire to learn with one another. And so that keeps people actively engaged as an online student. The faculty who are teaching your classes, again, all have terminal or doctoral degrees in the program. And so you'll be working with those faculty in addition to some teaching assistants that support the process, but every class is facilitated by a faculty member that is been with the organizational leadership program and has a long history in understanding the Gonzaga way. So there are a number of things I think I've touched on already about what makes our organizational leadership program stand out. And so just to highlight a few of those again, is the Jesuit ethos, the Jesuit commitment to the whole person, the incredible technical resource in our student support services and taking all the I dotting and the T crossing from application to graduation, the accessibility of the faculty members, the broad range of immersion classes, the study abroad options for electives, the 5 elective classes that you have to take to individualize your program of study, as well as the 2 concentrations that you might consider in either servant leadership or the global leadership concentration. Those, I think, create part of what makes the organizational leadership program at Gonzaga a unique and special opportunity. So I'd like to hand the mic over to my colleagues here at the table to talk with you about what the next steps might be that you'll consider.
Thank you, Dr. Hoover. So the next steps, if you're deciding to apply or you're in some process throughout the application, there's an online application form. The general application requirements are the application itself, a professional resume, official transcripts from every institution you've attended, 1 letter of recommendation, and a statement of purpose. So these are just the general requirements, and you can contact myself or any one of my admissions counselors about any specific questions you may have, or call our number that's on the screen right there. But in general, this is a complete application package. Our faculty look very holistically at applications. There's no one component of the application that's weighed above another. They're definitely looking at the whole person when they're looking at applicants for this program. So you're welcome to reach out to us or type any specific questions you may have in that chat box. But these are just the pieces of the application that you'll be completing in order to get into this program. So you're welcome to ask any questions you may have in our chat box. In appreciation for coming to this webinar and listening to Dr. Hoover join us today, we're offering you a fee waiver code. It's early orgo, and that is case sensitive. So those letters that are capitalized, make sure you type it in your application as is. When you put that in your application form, it's going to waive that $50 application fee for you. And we really appreciate you joining us today. So we'll just wait a few moments to see if you have any questions. And thanks again for coming today.
I have a question. Are online classes in a format where we are able to watch the professor present, or is it reading and writing assignments only?
So that's a great question. The majority of our classes do not require synchronous communication. And what that means is there's not a specific time at which you need to show up to the class in real time, because we have so many students that live in different time zones around the world. At the same time, there are videos that are in most of the classes, if not all of them, where you will hear from your faculty member and see their expressions, hear their voice. We also have opportunities in our classes where you're requested to make videos to introduce yourself or to respond to different assignments. So you have a little bit of generating some of the energy of really knowing who your classmates are. And then, for example, I always provide in my classes an optional conference call, which is in real time, in which we collect together at the second week of the class and the sixth week of the class to see if the class is making sense to you, what questions you might have, and to build a greater sense of community. So it varies from class to class, but again, because of the emphasis on flexibility, there are not specific times when you have to show up at 6 a.m. in the morning Eastern time because it's a 9 a.m. period on Pacific Standard Time. So we hope that brings the class to life, but also recognizes the complexity of the commitments that you have in your own experience.
That is a great question. Thank you. So thank you again for joining us today. Don't forget that fee waiver code. If going forward you have any questions, you're welcome to email us or call us, and we'll be happy to work with you individually. We hope you have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.